Welcome back to Speak Up English Hub, the place where your English doesn't just grow, it transforms. I'm your teacher for today, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we publish brand new lessons regularly to help you speak English with real confidence. Today's episode is special. We're going to do something a little different. Instead of me just talking at you, I've brought in a student. Someone who's at a B2 level and is actively working on sounding more natural and fluent. Together, we're going to explore advanced expressions, phrasal verbs, and the kind of vocabulary that native speakers use every single day. Before we dive in, I want to invite you right now to pause the video and write one comment. What's one English phrase you've been meaning to use but never quite got the hang of? Drop it below. I read every single comment. All right, let's get started. Alex, are you ready?
I think so. I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'm trying to get a better handle on speaking more naturally, so let's do this. That's exactly the right mindset. And notice what Alex just said. I'm trying to get a better handle on something. That's our first advanced expression of the day. We'll come back to it. But first, Alex, tell our listeners a little about yourself.
Sure. My name's Alex. I've been studying English for a few years now, and honestly, things have been a bit overwhelming lately. Between grammar rules, phrasal verbs, pronunciation, I'm still figuring things out, but I'm determined to keep improving.
Perfect. And that sentence, I'm still figuring things out, is something fluent speakers say all the time. It communicates honesty, progress, and self-awareness. We'll break it down in just a moment.
Alex, let me ask you something. When you get feedback on your English, from a teacher, a friend, a language partner, what do you usually do with it?
Honestly, sometimes I take notes and then kind of forget about it. I don't always do anything with it.
And that right there is the key difference between students who improve fast and those who don't. The ones who grow are the ones who act on the feedback they receive. To act on something means to take action based on advice or information. So if your teacher tells you to work on your pronunciation, you act on that advice. You don't just nod and move on.
So act on is like follow through on something?
Exactly. And it works in many contexts. You can act on a suggestion, act on new information, act on a warning. It's a very practical, professional-sounding phrasal verb. Now, for everyone watching, I want you to repeat this sentence after me. I always try to act on the feedback I receive. Say it out loud. Don't just read it. Say it. That's how fluency builds.
Can I ask, what about act up? I've seen that somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Great question. Act up is very different. It means to behave badly or to malfunction. You'd say a child is acting up if they're misbehaving, or you'd say your phone is acting up if it's not working properly. It's a bit informal, but very common in daily life.
Oh, like my laptop has been acting up all week, so I had to buy a new one?
Perfect example. And notice the natural phrasing, has been acting up. Present perfect continuous, showing it happened repeatedly over time. That's advanced grammar used instinctively. Well done. Let's move into the answer family of phrasal verbs, because these can be tricky. Alex, imagine you make a mistake at work that costs the company money. What would you say?
I would probably say, I'm sorry, it was my fault.
That works, but a more advanced way to express it would be, I'll answer for what happened. To answer for something means to be responsible for it, to face the consequences. Politicians answer for their decisions. Leaders answer for the actions of their teams.
That sounds quite formal.
It can be. Now, answer back is much more informal. If you answer back, you're responding to someone rudely, usually someone in authority. A teenager who talks back to a parent is answering back. It has a negative connotation.
And answer to?
To answer to someone means to be under their authority, to report to them. In a company, a manager answers to the director. It can also mean to match a description. If someone says the suspect answers to a certain description, they mean the person fits that profile.
So, one phrasal verb, three completely different meanings depending on the preposition.
That's the beauty and the challenge of English. And here's what I want you, our viewers, to do right now. Pause the video and write 3 sentences. 1 using answer for, 1 using answer back, and 1 using answer to. Write them in the comments. I'll personally look at them and respond. Alex, have you ever been in a situation where you were about to do something, maybe something brave or difficult, and then you just didn't?
Oh, absolutely. I once signed up for an English speaking competition at my school, and then I backed out at the last minute. I was too nervous.
And there it is, backed out. To back out of something means to withdraw, to decide not to do something you had already committed to. It often carries a sense of disappointment or letting someone down.
Yeah, I still feel a bit bad about it, to be honest.
Well, the good news is you're here now, speaking in front of thousands of people. That's brave. Now, back down is slightly different. You back down when you stop opposing something, when you give up a position in an argument or a negotiation. It implies someone pushed back and you yielded.
So if 2 people are arguing and one of them changes their mind to avoid conflict, that person backed down?
Exactly. And finally, back up. To back someone up means to support them, to confirm what they're saying. It also means to make a copy of digital files, as I'm sure you know.
Like, my colleague backed me up during the meeting when I presented my idea?
That's a perfect sentence. Natural, contextual, and exactly how a fluent speaker would say it.
2 more, and these are elegant. Bear on something means to be relevant to it, to affect it. If a new law bears on your business, it has a direct impact on it. It's quite formal.
I don't think I've ever used that one. It sounds very sophisticated.
It is. And bear with is the opposite in tone. It's warm and polite. When you ask someone to bear with you, you're asking them to be patient. Bear with me for a moment while I find the right word. Very useful in presentations, meetings, or conversations.
Oh, I love that one. It sounds so much more elegant than just saying, wait a second.
Exactly. And that's the heart of advanced English. Not using complicated words, but choosing expressions that carry the right tone for the moment. Exactly. And finally, back up. To back someone up means to support them, to confirm what they're saying. It also means to make a copy of digital files, as I'm sure you know.
Alex, let's step back from the phrasal verbs for a moment. I want to have a real conversation with you. How has your English journey been lately? Be honest.
Honestly, things have been a bit overwhelming. I'm juggling work, I have a family, and I'm trying to find time to study. My schedule is pretty packed most days, but I'm gradually adjusting my routine and trying to be more intentional about it.
I love that. Pretty packed, gradually adjusting, more intentional. Those are all B2, C1 level expressions used naturally and correctly. Let's unpack them for our audience.
Oh, I love that one. It sounds so much more elegant than just saying, wait a second.
When something is packed, it's completely full. My schedule is packed means there's no room for anything else. Pretty here is an intensifier. It softens the statement slightly, making it sound more conversational. Pretty packed is much more natural than simply very full.
And intentional. I've been hearing that a lot lately. What exactly does it mean?
Intentional means doing something with a clear purpose, not by accident, not passively. Being intentional about your practice means you have a plan, a goal, a reason. It's the opposite of just hoping things will improve on their own.
That's a word I want to use more. I've come to realize that just studying without a clear direction isn't very efficient.
Beautiful. I've come to realize that's a reflective, mature expression. It suggests understanding that grew over time. Not something you knew immediately, but something you discovered through experience.
That's exactly the kind of phrase that makes your English sound sophisticated without being overly formal.
Let's talk about something that many learners struggle with: expressing disagreement politely. Alex, do you ever find it difficult to disagree with someone in English without sounding rude?
Very much so. In my first language, I know exactly how to soften a disagreement, but in English, I sometimes worry I come across as too direct, or worse, too passive.
That's a very common challenge. So let's build your toolkit. The first expression, I see where you're coming from, but. This phrase shows you genuinely understand someone's perspective before you offer your own. It makes the other person feel heard.
Can I practice? Let's say someone tells me that grammar is more important than conversation practice. I could say, I see where you're coming from. Grammar is essential. But from my perspective, speaking practice builds confidence in a way that grammar alone can't.
Excellent. Notice that Alex didn't simply reject the other point of view. He acknowledged it, then offered a different angle. That's mature communication. Another useful expression for this, that's a reasonable point, but I'd like to offer a different perspective. That sounds very professional. It is, and it works in meetings, debates, academic discussions, and if you're genuinely uncertain, you can soften it further. I'm not entirely convinced, but I can see the logic. This tells people you're thinking critically, not just dismissing their ideas.
Alex, one more scenario. Imagine a friend asks you, "How's your English going?" What do you say?
I'd probably say something like, it's been a bit of an uphill battle, but I'm gradually getting the hang of it. I'm in the process of refining my speaking, and I'm starting to feel more at ease in conversations.
That single answer contains 4 advanced expressions. Let's highlight them. An uphill battle, something that requires a lot of effort. Getting the hang of it, starting to understand or master something. In the process of, currently working on something, ongoing. Feel more at ease. Feel more comfortable and relaxed. Each of these replaces a simple, flat word with something rich and expressive.
It's incredible how much more natural it sounds. When I said, it's been a bit of an uphill battle, I felt like an actual English speaker.
That feeling? That's what we're building toward. And the more you use these expressions in real life, the more instinctive they become. For everyone watching, I want you to do something right now. Take that sentence Alex just used and personalize it. Change it to reflect your English journey. Then say it out loud. Not just think it, say it. And if you're feeling brave, post it in the comments. That act alone will do more for your fluency than rereading a grammar textbook. All right, it's time for our quiz segment. Alex, I'm going to describe a situation, and I want you to pick the right phrasal verb or expression. Ready?
Ready. Bear with me if I get one wrong.
Nice one. Question 1. Your manager gave you advice about how to improve your presentation skills. What should you do with that advice?
Act on it?
Correct. You should act on the advice, take it seriously, and make changes based on it. Question 2. You agreed to help organize a company event, but now you've changed your mind and decided not to participate. What did you do?
I backed out?
Exactly. You backed out of the commitment. Question 3. You're in a disagreement with a colleague, and they make a good point that changes your position. You decide not to push your argument further. What happened?
I backed down?
Perfect. 3 for 3. Now, a harder one. Someone asks for your opinion on a complex topic, and you're not completely sure, but you want to share a thoughtful response. How do you start that sentence?
Maybe from what I can tell, or I'm not entirely sure, but...
Both are excellent choices. From what I can tell, signals that you're basing your answer on observation and reasoning, not absolute certainty. It's humble, reflective, and very natural. Brilliant, Alex.
Alex, before we wrap up, what's your biggest takeaway from today's session?
I think it's the idea that advanced English isn't about using difficult vocabulary for the sake of it. It's about choosing the right expression for the right moment. Bear with me instead of wait. Act on this instead of do this. Small changes that make a huge difference.
I couldn't have said it better. And that, honestly, is the whole philosophy of Speak Up English Hub. We don't teach you to sound like a dictionary. We teach you to sound like a person. A confident, articulate, fluent person who can express exactly what they mean in any situation.
If today's lesson resonated with you, I'd love for you to do 3 things. First, like this video. It helps more people like you find this content. Second, leave a comment. Use one of the phrasal verbs or expressions from today in a sentence. Show me you got it. Third, subscribe and turn on notifications. We upload regularly, and every episode is designed to take your English one step further. Alex, thank you so much for being here today. You were brilliant. Thank you. I've been meaning to do something like this for a long time, and now it's finally happening. I feel more confident already.
That's what it's all about. And to everyone watching, keep showing up, keep practicing. And remember, fluency doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, patience, and persistence. I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for being with us. See you on our next video. Let's speak up.